Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. This is Michael Sabat, and thank you for joining me. So please hit subscribe if you want to get more of my content. I am looking through a lot of current events right now and doing analysis, and I'm also giving my commentaries of what's going on from my perspective, and that's from a more classical liberal conservative perspective. So first thing I want to talk about today really has to do with Portland right now. I know a lot of people talk about Portland and say, oh, there's some protests and all this other things over there. And the most common misconception right now about Portland is that if you read the news media today, you would think that the feds have actually given up on Portland and they've lost the, some people call the Battle of Portland. Well, I don't think that's really true. So let's take a look at it here. Recent magazine says after failing to quell the unrest, the feds will depart from Portland. I disagree. But let's read on a little bit here what Reason magazine, just a libertarian magazine, has been trying to say. President Trump sent federal agents to squash protests, but the situation has continuously escalated. Federal agents in Portland, Oregon were sent to quell the months-long protests in the city and will begin pulling out tomorrow, per Governor Kate Brown, Democrat, last Wednesday. The tactical teams who arrived in Portland in early July, following a June 26 executive order from President Trump, were charged with protecting federal property and supporting local police against rioters, arsonists, left-wing extremists. But their presence appears to have only emboldened demonstrators, who have refocused their efforts around protesting the feds. Now, I wanted to make something clear here. These people who are right there trying to throw all those Molotov cocktails at the feds, trying to say what they call protesters, are not really protesters. They should be called rioters and arsonists. And well, I was listening to a little bit of what Attorney General Barr was talking about yesterday during the hearing in the House Judiciary Committee, and he asked, and I'm paraphrasing here, he asked, well, at what point is it wrong? How wrong is it to essentially try to burn down a federal courthouse? And is it right to do that? Is it wrong to do that? And the answer is, of course, it is wrong. And there are libertarians like Reason Magazine defending these rioters and calling them protesters. And they would defend them with a play on words, with verbiage, by saying that they're just protesting federal overreach, protesting the police abuse. No, these federal police are not there looking for trouble. They're there defending federal property, defending. They're not out there trying to incite riot. They're there to defend. And there's some in the media right now pushing this narrative. Apparently, Donald Trump's making the riots worse because that's what he wants for his campaign. That is absolutely bogus. Absolutely bogus. And as we can see here, that narrative, all these different narratives have been kind of clashing together. And if you read deeper of what really is entailed with what's going on right now in Portland, and the deal between the Oregon governor and the feds, you really get to see that it really isn't as it's cracked out to be. And matter of fact, I would probably say the Democrats actually blinked first and have given up. They've actually lost, because now, and I will show you this article from the New York Times. Federal agents agreed to withdraw from Portland with conditions. And I will read this article to you guys because it's very important to see what the details are. If you read just the headlines, you would just think that the feds have given up and the Democrats have won, which when I say Democrats, I meant the governor of Oregon and then the mayor Ted Wheeler of Portland. And I call them all Democrats because for this whole time, this whole 2 months of the riots, they've explicitly endorsed these people because they think that by having all this chaos, it will give them power. And I absolutely detest that. I detest people who crave power so much that they were willing to sacrifice the livelihoods of their fellow citizens. But let's move on and let's read a little bit of what New York Times is talking about. Federal agents agreed to withdraw from Portland with conditions. Governor Kate Brown of Oregon said the teams will begin withdrawing on Thursday. However, federal officials cautioned that they will withdraw only when they are confident that the federal courthouse can be secured. And I want to go down here to the quote of Chad Wolf. He is the acting secretary of DHS. He says, state and local and law enforcement will begin securing properties and streets, especially those surrounding the federal properties that have been under nightly attack for the past 2 months. We anticipate the ability to change our force posture. He added, once circumstances on the ground significantly improve with the deployment of the additional state and local law enforcement. And President Trump doubled down. He also said, you'll hear all sorts of reports about us leaving. We're not leaving until we've secured their city. Until they've secured their city. That's an important point right there. We told the governor, we told the mayor, secure your city. If they don't secure the city soon, we will have no choice. We're going to have to go in and clean it out. Now, that's a very clear deviation from what the mainstream media has been trying to tell you. They're telling you that the feds have lost. No. There's conditions, and there's some conditions that have been met, and apparently the Democrats have agreed to it, which means defund the police, abolish the police. Those are out the window, because now they're going to have to go in there and secure with their own police forces. And additionally, not only with this local police force, they have state police that are also going to go in there. So this is an additional manpower, additional resources that are going to be added in there just to secure that whole area. So then once they do that, then the federal forces can draw down on what they have from protecting the federal courthouse. Because I believe it's night. Tonight will be what? Night? Honestly, I don't know. I heard it's over 60 nights that they've been in a constant barrage and attack. Can you imagine? You're stuck in your house and a mob of people go in there and attack your house with commercial grade fireworks, noises, lasers. You can't sleep. You can't. You don't know if you're gonna go home, if they're gonna mug you when you're on your way out. This is what these people, the feds, have been facing over there. And I know that people are angry at the police, but it makes no excuse, because these are people too. They live in the neighborhood. They live in the city. They live in the area. But this is what we have. We have a media complicit in covering up for these rioters. But now it's falling apart. The Democrats have given up. The Democrats are giving up on the far left. The far left have lost everything. They lost the plot. That's it. Anyway, please hit subscribe, and hopefully you get to see more of my videos in the future. I'll be talking a little bit more. I'll be expanding more subjects like foreign policy, what's going on around the world. I'll be talking about China, like there are rumors of wars. As you can say, out there in the world. The world right now is full of interesting things that are happening. And it's not just COVID. It's not just the riots. So I hope you could join me next time, and thank you for joining me today.